Hi there, welcome to Lordrick's room. My name is Lordrick. So, you're thinking of starting a club in your high school? Well, you've come to just the right place because I'll help walk you guys through the entire process of starting your own club. I know that it's the end of the year for a lot of you guys right now, so this video might seem oddly timed, but it's definitely a good idea to actually lay all the groundwork for starting a club at the end of the year so you can really hit the ground running next year and start from the get-go without any hiccups. And there's not really much work to do at this point of the year, so you guys probably have a lot of free time around now. Just a bit of a disclaimer first. I technically haven't officially founded any clubs during my time in high school, but I have worked closely with a lot of people who have, so I've witnessed firsthand the whole club making process, I guess. So I'd say I'm more of a secondhand source on this topic, but I'll still be able to give you guys some solid information. But first, why would you even want to start a club in the first place? I mean, that's not really all that impressive of an activity in the grand scheme of things, right? You know, between starting a club at school and like doing research with a college professor, one of these sounds cooler than the other, right? But while it's true that there are more impressive activities out there that you could be doing, I don't think it's a good idea to get so hung up on the face value impressive factor of an activity. As I've mentioned in some of my other videos that you can check out after you watch this video, the activities that are gonna be the most helpful to you in college admissions or whatever else are gonna be the activities that are the most meaningful to you specifically. And really, that can be anything. So it's not really fair to compare a student who is like the founder of the Indian cuisine club at their school with a student who helped a professor on their research on protein transport in plant cells, because the value and meaning that activity has to each student is gonna depend on a number of other more complicated factors. So if you think you starting a club can prove to be something that shapes your high school experience, then go for it. The first thing you'll have to figure out is what kind of club you actually want to start. If you already had an idea of what you want your club to be about before you clicked on this video, you can skip forward a bit, but this step is for those of you who don't know what you want your club to be about. You know, maybe you're an incoming junior who just realized that they don't really have any extracurricular activities and wants to be able to start something. Or maybe you're just someone who has a lot of free time after school and doesn't know what to do with it. Since you're going to be starting your own club at your school, ideally you'd want it to be about something that your school doesn't already have. Like, you can't start a coding club if your school already has a coding club. And depending on how big your school is and what clubs already exist, that may limit your options, but honestly, that could be considered a good thing in the long run, because this means that the club that you'll eventually be starting up will be more likely to be a lot more unique than some other clubs out there. So there are basically an infinite number of ideas for clubs that you could be starting, but I think the easiest way to go about it would be to build up some kind of interest club. You guys all have your own interests, I'm sure, so you can pick one of them and try to build a club around it. If you like reading books, you could start a book club. If you like playing games, you could start a video game club or a board game club. If you like watching YouTube, you could start a Lordrick Valsota fan club. Whatever your interest is, you can definitely make a club out of it. And just for the sake of example, moving forward, I'll be talking about starting your own Lordrick club at school, but you can just replace that with whatever you want your club to be. Alright, so once you have an idea for your club, the Lordrick fan club, you gotta find other people that you can recruit as club members. You know, you can't really have a club with just one person because that's really no different from just doing stuff on your own. It'll also help your case later on when you're pitching your club to teachers or administration if you already have a list of people who would be willing to join your club. And the easiest way to gauge interest for your potential club nowadays would probably be to reach out to people on social media. Luckily, we're living in 2021 and we can reach each other through the tap of a screen. Like, you can put up a story on your Instagram or Snapchat or whatever and ask people if they'd be interested in starting a Lordrick fan club with you. Maybe in like the early 2000s, you'd put up flyers around your school, but I don't know about you guys, but I'd be a lot more likely to check on someone's Instagram story than to read a flyer on a bulletin board when I'm walking to class. Putting stuff up on social media is going to be really good to get a lot of responses, but people tend to answer those really quickly and without much thought. So it would probably be better to also follow up and ask people in person. Things do seem to be going back to being in person slowly but surely. So if you find yourself at the cafeteria during lunch, you could ask your friends and whoever else is at the table if they'd be interested in joining the Lordrick Club. You're definitely going to be getting people saying no from time to time, which is going to stink, but not everyone is going to be interested in the same exact things as you. So definitely asking a lot of people is going to give you a better chance of getting a good list of interested people. But obviously, if you say you're going to be starting a club dedicated to me, I'm sure they'd be 100% on board. And while you're doing all this, you'll also want to do some scouting for a club advisor. In my experience, you're almost always going to need a club advisor for your club because the school isn't exactly going to trust a bunch of teenagers to be left to their own devices. So if your club is based on some academic field, you could just ask a teacher who teaches a related subject. But if your club is based on something non-academic, like a Lordrick Valsota fan club, your best bet is to find a teacher who shares the same interests as you. And if no such teacher immediately comes to mind, you'll just have to ask around until someone agrees. Here is where you're going to need to pitch your idea for your club to the teacher and explain what kinds of club activities you're going to be doing. This is basically practice for the next step, so it's important to get a teacher on board so that you know that your pitch can be successful. And a lot of times, teachers are going to be staying after school to do work anyway, so if all you really need them for is to essentially just supervise you, you'll have a solid chance of them saying yes. And after you've got a good idea of who your potential advisor and potential club members are going to be, it's time to make it official. The process for this is going to differ from school to school, so you'll want to reach out and see what the process is like for your specific school. Sometimes you have to fill out a club application form, and sometimes you'll have to directly speak to administration. Two very different things, obviously, so just see what your school wants for you. And like when you were getting a club advisor on board, you essentially just have to pitch your club idea to the school. Here's where you explain what the club is and why you want to start that club in the first place. You need to explain when you want to meet, what kinds of club activities you have in mind, and how your club is going to have a positive impact on your school. This is also a good place where you can bring up that list from earlier of people who said they would be interested in joining your club. The more information you provide on like the logistics of the club and its operations, the better chance you'll have of being approved. And on the off chance that you do get denied, the school will probably give you some kind of reason. And if you can somehow work around that or address their concerns, you can bring up your idea back with them. But hopefully the Lordrick Valsota fan club gets approved, because I don't have one yet. And once you get your club approved, congratulations! You're officially a club founder / president. And you know what they say? With great titles comes great responsibility. Now you have to work out setting up club meetings, figuring out club activities, and all that jazz. This is also a good time to advertise your club to other students at your school again, because it's no longer just an idea this time around, but an actual realized club. From here, you'll be running meetings, doing fun stuff, having Lordic Valsote watch parties, you know, the whole shebang. And I hope it's fun for you guys. If this video does help you start your own club, maybe you could return the favor by leaving a like and hitting subscribe. Just a thought. But yeah, have fun with your clubs, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!